Picture this: an adventure bike with Italian soul, Japanese components, Chinese backing, and a price tag that might actually make sense. It's called the Vettore, and it's not just another 450cc bike. It's Moto Morini's bold move to crash into the American ADV scene, aiming straight at fan favorites like the Himalayan, the KTM 390 Adventure, and even CFM OTO's Ibex 450. Sounds like a long shot? Maybe. But this bike is not just here to play, it wants to dominate. Moto Morini isn't some startup chasing trends. This brand has been around since the 1930s, with deep Italian roots. But recently, it got a serious boost. Chinese powerhouse Zhongmeng took over, blending European heritage with Asian manufacturing muscle. The result? A new generation of bikes that are turning heads worldwide, and now, the Vettore is coming to the US with serious ambition. Here's the thing: when it debuted in Europe, it was called the Alltrhike, a clunky name that tried to blend all-terrain and hike, but ended up sounding like a typo. For the American market, thankfully, they rebranded as Vettore Italian for Vector. It sounds faster, cleaner, more premium. And honestly, it just feels right. It reflects where this bike wants to go. Forward, fast, unstoppable. And that ambition couldn't come at a better time. The American ADV market is exploding, not just with heavyweight monsters like the Africa Twin AMG S1250, but with more nimble, more affordable, more versatile mid-range options. Riders across the country, from the Pacific Northwest to the Blue Ridge Mountains, are looking for bikes that can tackle city streets, open highways, and backcountry trails all in one go. They want something they can trust on a VDR route, but also something that won't break the bank or their backs. That's the space the Vettore wants to fill. It promises premium design, serious off-road capability, and a full tech package at a price point that could undercut the competition. But that raises the real question: is the Vettore actually good enough to dethrone the Himalayan? Can it offer more than just good looks and a fancy name? Because let's be real, spec sheets don't always tell the full story. A bike can sound amazing on paper and still disappoint when the trail gets rough or the miles get long. So before we get carried away by the Italian flair and sleek design, let's break down exactly what this machine brings to the table. Because to earn a place in American garages and compete with brands like KTM, Royal Enfield, and CFMOT, it has to deliver more than promises. Let's open it up. All right, so the Vettore looks sharp and sounds promising. But what happens when we zoom in on the nuts and bolts? What's under that sleek bodywork, and is it really built for adventure or just designed to look the part? Let's start with the engine. At the heart of the Vettore is a 450cc liquid-cooled parallel twin that puts out a claimed 44.8 horsepower at 8,500 revolutions per minute and 31 pounds-feet of torque at 6,500. That puts it right in line with the CFM OTO Ibex 450, no surprise there, since both share a lot of internal DNA. But compared to the Himalayan 450, which makes about 39.5 horsepower, or the KTM 390 Adventure with its 44 horsepower single-cylinder, the Vettore offers competitive power with the smoothness of a twin. The suspension setup is one of its strongest assets. It comes with a 41mm Kaiba upside-down fork offering 8.2 inches of travel up front, and a Kaiba rear monoshock with 7.5 inches of travel using a progressive linkage system. And here's the kicker: both ends are fully adjustable preload, rebound, and compression. That's the kind of feature usually reserved for higher-end adventure bikes, not something in the mid-$7,000 range. Wheels? Spot on. The Vettore runs a 21-inch front and 8-inch rear setup, both with tangential spoke rims, which means they're tubeless ready and trail capable. That's a must-have for real off-road riding and a clear sign that this bike was designed with serious adventure in mind, not just weekend fire roads. Braking is solid too. A 320mm front disc with a radial mount 4-piston caliper, and a 255mm disc at the rear with 2 pistons. ABS is standard, and crucially, it's switchable for off-road use. If you've ever lost traction in sand or gravel, you know how important that is. On the comfort and tech front, the Vettore is surprisingly well equipped. The TFT display includes turn-by-turn navigation, and it even has USB and USB-C ports to charge your devices on the go. There's an adjustable windscreen, and the high-equipped version goes even further, offering heated grips, a heated seat, handguards, and upgraded tires. And yes, a center stand is included, which is something we wish more manufacturers would do at this price point. Fuel tank? 4.9 gallons. Enough for long-range touring without constantly hunting for gas stations, especially when you're exploring off-grid routes in places like Moab or the Sierra Nevada. Now, let's talk weight. The Vettore comes in at a claimed 419 pounds dry. That's heavier than the Ibex at 386 pounds and definitely more than the KTM 390 Adventure, which is around 379. The Himalayan 450 sits in a similar ballpark. So, while it's not exactly a featherweight, that added mass can actually work in its favor for high-speed stability and long-distance comfort. On technical trails, though, it'll demand a little more muscle. But here's the twist. Many parts frame. Engine block and subframe are strikingly similar to the Ibex 450. And that's not just speculation. Side-by-side comparisons reveal that the two share more than just performance numbers. It's fair to ask, is this just a rebadged CFM OTO in Italian clothes? The answer might surprise you. Asterisk. So now that we've looked under the hood, it's time to answer the big question. Can the Vettore actually compete with the bikes that dominate the American ADV scene? Let's break it down. First up, the most obvious rival, the Royal Enfield Himalayan 450. The Himalayan has built a loyal following thanks to its rugged simplicity and retro charm. It's lighter, makes slightly less power, and has a more relaxed riding posture. But the Vettore beats it in tech, suspension adjustability, and overall performance. The Himalayan feels more like a slow burn, a true overlander. The Vettore? It wants to go faster, harder, and farther without losing comfort. Then there's the CFM OTO Ibex 450. Sold globally as the 4.5 OMT, it shares the same basic engine and frame. And on paper, it's nearly identical to the Vettore. But here's the catch. The Ibex doesn't offer the same level of finish or premium extras. The Vettore's styling, branding, and features like the high-equipped version's heated seat and handguards give it a more refined feel. So, even if they're siblings under the skin, the Vettore positions itself as the more upscale, tour-ready option. What about the KTM 390 Adventure R? That bike is the wild card. It's light, agile, and extremely capable off-road. But it's also a single cylinder, which means more vibration on long highway stretches. It comes with great electronics and off-road cred, but it lacks some of the creature comforts and twin-cylinder smoothness that the Vettore brings to the table. If your riding is mostly gnarly trails, the KTM has the edge. If you want more balance between road and dirt, the Vettore starts to shine. And we can't forget the elephant in the room. The upcoming BMW F450 GS. BMW hasn't officially revealed it yet, but when it lands, it'll likely be packed with features and priced accordingly. Expect a premium tag that puts it closer to $10,000 or more. That's where the Vettore can hit hard, offering similar tech and capabilities, but at a significantly lower price point. It's punching up dots, so where does that leave? US. The Vettore might not be the lightest, the fastest, or the most off-road focused bike in its class. But it brings a unique blend of comfort, capability, and premium features that few others offer in the mid-size ADV market. It's built to go the distance, with the kind of tech, suspension, and design that make it more than just a rebadge. CFMOTO. Does it dethrone the Himalayan? For riders who want a more refined and versatile ride, it just might. But that's not for us to decide, it's for you. Because here's the thing, the American ADV market is no longer a niche. It's a full-on movement. Riders want something that can tackle coast-to-coast trips, handle fire roads, and still cruise downtown without looking like a Mad Max extra. The Vettore could be that bike dot, so now we want to hear from you. Would you pick the Vettore over the Himalayan? Or would you stick with KTM Ibex or hold out for the BMW? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you've ridden any of these, let us know what your experience was like. And hey, if this video helped you see the Vettore in a new light, consider hitting that like button and subscribing for more deep dives on the latest bikes hitting the US market. New rides. Real talk. No fluff.